I'll change your mind, but the first in line. Baby, I'm still free. Take it to me. I've been living in Ecuador for pretty close to 2 years now, and I've seemed to have done everything. I've climbed Mount Pichincha.
We're only about halfway. Maybe we should stop.
I've bought a llama wool sweater. I finger popped a giant tortoise. I've done pretty much everything that one should do while in Ecuador, including eating all of the Ecuadorian specialties. So it's time. It's time. It's Vader. Time. No, it's time for me to regurgitate my top Ecuadorian dishes. Here they are, the best eats from Ecuador.
Y'all don't know people like this. Y'all don't know people like this. Y'all don't know people like this.
I'm gonna start, what is this angle grinding? I'm gonna start things off with the national dish of Ecuador. It's encebollado. This is a fish stew with albacore, a type of tuna. I love this dish. Sarah and I like to go for it after a night of drinking. It's supposed to be a hangover cure. I wouldn't say it cured my hangover, but it definitely makes me feel a little bit better after eating it. Encebollado basically means in onions. So we got a fish broth, nice hunks of albacore, onions, and lots of lime. I like to actually put extra lime in it, plus a few fixins, usually some fried plantain chips and some popcorn. And what's hiding at the bottom of the bowl? It's yuca or cassava, the root vegetable that you were pretty sure you didn't want, but you kind of tolerate in this dish. This meal is hearty, it's refreshing, it's pretty cheap. You can get a bowl for like $3 and it fills you right up. Of course, it's best served next to the ocean, but you'll find it all across Ecuador. If you're in Ecuador, there's really no excuse not to try this dish. Unless you're allergic to something in it, maybe. Or perhaps you had a close relative die in a bowl of soup. Maybe they drowned in it. Your uncle and his life just dissolved into this tasty broth, and now when you look at soup, you can't even stand to look at it, and it just makes you. Next up, I'm going to stick to the coast. Actually, I think most of the dishes are from the coastal region of Ecuador, so I'm sure the Sierra people will be angry at me about this. Let's talk ceviche. There are a lot of different versions of ceviche in this world that we live in, probably more in this world than most other worlds. But Ecuador's version is not only a little bit different, but they also do different variations according to what province you get it in. In the mountains, they usually flash boil the ingredient. If it's fish, if it's shrimp, they just give it a quick boil, and that just ensures that it's not gonna make you sick, I guess. Along the coast, they're more likely to do it the traditional way, where they just soak it in the lime and it cooks in the lime. The best ceviche I've ever had in Ecuador was probably on our Galapagos cruise. The chef actually came out and did a little demonstration for us, showed us how he made it. It was a raw fish ceviche, which I prefer the texture and like the freshness of, but the flash boil version is also really good, and I guess it's safer when you're not close to the ocean. You can get fish ceviche, shrimp ceviche, clam ceviche, octopus ceviche. There's even vegetarian versions. There's a bean ceviche for you vegetarians. I'm sure it's just as good as like a shrimp ceviche. Yeah, I'm sure it's just as nice. Not. I really love the hippie hapa version of ceviche that they do in Ecuador. It's an area along the coast, and they add peanut paste, which kind of adds this richness to it. It works really well with like the brightness, the lemony limeness of the dish. And also they add avocado, which adds a bit of a creaminess to it. In the Quito area, I recommend Los Ceviches de la Rumeñahue. That sounds kind of racist when I say it like that. It's a ceviche chain. They do a really good bowls of ceviche. They have all the different kinds, and there's like 10 or so locations across the Quito area. Okay, next up is a meal that I just recently tried for the first time and I really loved. Maybe you saw the video already about it. Maybe you watched it with your significant other as you stroked their hair. I'm talking about roasted clams, black clams specifically, concha negra. These black clams are a specialty in Ecuador, Colombia, and Peru. They're found on the roots of mangrove trees. Mangrove trees only grow in brackish waters. There's not that many mangrove forests around, so these aren't exactly easy to get. When they're roasted up with some garlic and butter, they're just so good. The liquid is the best part. We call it clam wine. It tastes like the ocean mixed with butter and lime. Sometimes you'll find these called conchitas on the menu, and not all seafood restaurants in Ecuador will have them, and you're really going to want to go to a good place for them. I recommend a restaurant called La Costanera in Quito, but I believe Los Ceviche de la Rumeñahue also has them, and I'm sure they do them up good there. I haven't actually had them. or you can probably get them at ceviche in Quito, which is a segue into the next dish. I just did a segue. Check me segueing. Man, I segued that so hard. I went to ceviche in a video I did about bananas in Ecuador. I kind of screwed up. I went to a place and they were supposed to have a dish and they didn't have it. So I kind of called an audible and ended up at this ceviche place, and luckily had one of the best dishes I've ever had in Ecuador. Their caldo de balón blew my mind into a million little pieces. This dish can range from, that's tasty, to, oh my god, that's making my taste buds tingle and my nips hard. The ceviche version, who's just banging on something? The ceviche version is definitely one that will make your nips hard. It's packed with seafood, but not every Colón de Col. But usually this soup doesn't have seafood in it. All it really needs to be caldo de balón is balón. What is balón? It's bologna. No, it's not. It's a ball of fried green plantain, usually stuffed with some stuff. And it's tasty, it's different, it's heavy. I sort of have a love-hate relationship with it. I do crave it sometimes, but I like to make fun of it a lot. We joke about how you could kill a man by throwing a balloon at his head. Or how when you eat it, you're not hungry again for 3 to 4 weeks. Bologna is usually stuffed with either fried pork, cheese, or a combination of the two. But you can find other stuff in there like stewed meat, ground meat, all kinds of things, seafood sometimes. You can pretty much put anything in it. You could probably put anything in it and it would be preserved for the rest of its life. I think they found dinosaur fossils in these things. So caldo de balón is a balón in a broth. Caldo means soup, which if done right, it makes it kind of a little bit softer but still firm. It's my favorite way to eat it. Some places will serve it as your soup starter when you get an almuerzos, which is basically like a lunch of the day kind of in Ecuador. Those versions are obviously not going to be as complex. Usually they're just a bologna with maybe some cheese in it and then like a nice broth. It's just really good. But if you want something really special, I suggest you seek out the seafood soup version, which you can probably find along the coast in a few different spots. Ceviche's version is phenomenal. I think they have 2 locations in Quito. Their bologna and the broth and all the seafood in it, it's just a really good dish. It's gonna make your balloons quiver. All right, we're gonna move on, and I'm gonna make fun of English people. Get ready, English people, and you're gonna be upset. You're probably gonna hit me with one of those nutters that you guys do. I don't know what you guys do. Sarah is from England, so I'm allowed to make fun of the Brits. It's in some sort of contract somewhere. England, your fish and chips suck. It shouldn't be called fish and chips. It should be called batter and chips, or like little cooked to the shit dried piece of fish in batter with some chips. Batter's not even good, so maybe like mediocre batter over a cooked to shit piece of fish and chips. Ecuador's battered and deep fried fish blows England's out of the water, in my opinion. Of course, not every deep fried fish in Ecuador is created equally. You gotta try corvinas. It's a type of fish that's white and flaky. The batter's super crispy on the outside. It's almost like a KFC batter. Actually, I think they use 12 secret herbs and spices. If you're in Quito, head to a market to try this dish. Central Market is a really good option, probably the best option. For about $7, you can get a nice hunk of fish, some potatoes, a drink, and a little bowl of shrimp ceviche for some reason. I'm not sure why they combo these, but it's really good. It just adds like a nice zestiness to the whole dish. For a bit more, you can get it with rice, which is a good idea if you're looking to violently explode all over the Central Market. This meal will stuff you to your gills. Oh, gills, fish have gills. I made a pun. Pun and segue, same video. I'm gonna win an Emmy for this.
What the hell's going on here?
Okay, I got one more dish for you, and you Sierra Ecuadorians can simmer the F down. We got Sierra food coming your way. One of the best dishes in all of Ecuador. We're talking hornado. Hornado is a slowly roasted whole pig. How is that not going to be delicious? They do have vegetarian versions where they roast a whole bean instead of a pig, so you guys get that there. That's good. Remember that time you went to a party and they had a whole roast pig there and you had to change your pants because it was so good? Well, I have to change my pants all the time in Ecuador because I can get hornado whenever I want. Almost all markets in Ecuador will have a whole roast pig You can buy just a bunch of meat if you want, or you can sit down and do the meal with all the fixins. The fixins are definitely worth the sit down. They'll change depending where you are in Ecuador. In the Quito area, they serve them with yapping gauchos, which could be on this list on their own. They're a mashed potato mixed with cheese and fried on a griddle, crispy on both sides. They're just amazing. Put a few of those next to a pile of roast pork and get that second pair of pants ready. Hornado also usually comes with deep fried crispy pork skin. You hear that crunch? Oh my god. Sometimes it's like a big pork rind. Sometimes it's like this piece of glass almost that you just snap and it's full of flavor. I mean, pork skin that's been crisped down is just one of the greatest things in the world. You got to dump some of that ají on it too. Ají is the table sauce all over Ecuador. It's usually spicy with some like lime in it, so it really brightens the dish. It also spices it up a little bit. It's really good on the pork. Ecuadorians will argue about where to get the best hornado. Ambato, a city that's about 2 hours south of Quito, they do a really good hornado. The small town of Sangolquí, which is about 30 minutes from Quito's historical district, they do a really amazing hornado as well. But really the main difference is the sides you get. No matter what, you roast a whole pig, as long as you don't screw it up, it's going to be delicious. These pigs take 2 days to make, so when you're eating it, make sure you savor it. Sit back, enjoy the meal, think about the time you spent in Ecuador, the smiling faces, the mountains, the ocean, the jungle. Think about me, sad because you didn't hit that thumbs up. Nah, I'm kidding, I won't be sad. Just disappointed. Kind of like my mom when I told her I quit my job and I'm starting a YouTube channel. Alright, that's it. Those are my top dishes of Ecuador. I hope you come here, hope you try them, hope you enjoy them. And be sure to check out my playlist, Eat Ecuador. I have all my Ecuadorian food videos in there, so it's a good spot to go next. And I guess I will see you guys in hell, or the next video. Whatever comes first.
Prefer when I'm by myself. I don't wanna hang around y'all. Pray for good health. One day I'm gonna go all. Fuck around and buy the whole mall. Breaking that cake. Flexing 7